International Day of Girls and Women in Science. Being a woman in science since a very young age, I want to congratulate and greet all of the fellow girls and women in science and to share a little bit of my perspective. Every perspective is useful. I started working in science since I was 22, 23 years old because my parents are both scientists and my dad loves science. He convinced me after I graduated medicine, he convinced me to do a PhD in immunology. And I loved immunology and I loved the discovery, learning new things about people, how the organism works, discovering new treatments. I learned about recombinant DNA, monoclonal antibodies. I get to work with people from different countries to attend meetings. It's very interactive and interesting. Then you get to test an idea. However, I think that being a woman in science is also challenging because I think that you have to be more pushy and more aggressive in order to get your point across. And just like when I attend a career fair at the New York State Department of Labor, and afterwards I have a survey which asks my experience from the career fair and what can be improved, I wish to share some things that I think that could be improved. First, I think science is creative. It involves research, testing a hypothesis, and in reality, it becomes very rigid many times. I don't know, is it because the principal investigator has written a grant and they have to test a hypothesis? If you have different results, this does not make them happy, and often you are responsible for not generating the results that were expected. But biology is very diverse, and so sometimes the results that you get may be quite different from what is expected. Also, I think that sometimes it is difficult to use statistics in order to make a conclusion about biological organisms such as mice or humans just because they're so different. And sometimes if there is a variation, we discard that sample from our study sample size, but they may be very important for answering a question. I want to give one experience of the rigidity from my work on gene therapy when we had to inject multiple mice, maybe 200, and they were at least 5 strains for disease strains mouse and 1 wild type or 2 wild type, and we had to make stereotaxic injections in the brain with exactly fixed coordinates for all mouse strains, male and female, and sometimes they differed in age. Sometimes some were early 3 months, someone late 3 months. And so I noticed that the coordinates differ between the different mouse strains and between males and females, and I brought that up to my principal investigator because we use fixed coordinates and we can't be sure that we target identical brain regions. He said no, he didn't want to hear, maybe because that's how the study was designed. But this was a very big deviation from reality. And so I think that we have to be flexible, and even if we have grants in which we wrote something, if we find in the process of experimentation something else, we have to state it and change our perspective. Also, it has happened sometimes a method could be improved, but my principal investigator does not allow me to change the method so that we can compare the results. I think that the same way we can justify why we're changing the method and change it. Just like in clinical research, if we have a recruitment strategy, but we see that the strategy is very stringent, we can change it. In the same way, we can change a method. And so, one more thing I would like to say that I think could be improved is the inclusion of scientists in publications, because it has happened to me that I do a lot of work, not only technical, I'm a postdoctoral fellow or a research associate, and I help another postdoctoral fellow with their study. I not only generate data, I interpret it, present photographs, and it's a significant part of the study, but then I'm not included as an author, just because that person who was the lead author of the study decided they don't want to include me. And so this is important further down the road for your career, because publications are one of the measures of your success. Now it's changing. So these are my experiences. I think science is evolving, changing, and so hopefully with time it will get even better. Thank you. Celebrate today.